Money is one of the greatest tools we'll ever have, yet it's also one of the biggest sources of stress for so many of us. I used to feel completely stuck, trapped in a cycle of living paycheck to paycheck, constantly worrying about how I'd cover the next bill. No matter how hard I worked, it felt like I was always one step behind. Sound familiar? Then one day everything changed. It wasn't because I won the lottery or got a massive raise. It was because someone shared a piece of advice so simple yet so powerful, it completely shifted how I thought about money. At first, I didn't believe something so straightforward could make such a big difference. But once I applied it to my life, I started to see the results almost immediately. Have you ever wondered what it would take to break free from financial stress? To finally feel in control of your money instead of letting it control you? That's exactly what happened to me. And I'm here to share how one idea became the turning point in my financial journey. Before I came across this life changing advice, my financial habits were, quite frankly, a disaster. I was living paycheck to paycheck, with no savings, no investments, and absolutely no plan for the future. My idea of financial management was simply hoping there was enough in my account to cover rent and bills at the end of the month. There was no structure, no accountability, and definitely no sense of control. Every month felt like I was on a treadmill, working hard but getting nowhere. I'll admit, I wasn't being responsible with my money. I'd spend impulsively, convincing myself that I needed things that, in hindsight, were completely unnecessary. Eating out multiple times a week, buying the latest gadgets, indulging in spontaneous shopping sprees, or paying for subscriptions I barely used, these became my norm. Each purchase gave me a temporary sense of satisfaction, but that feeling quickly faded when I checked my bank balance. Worse still, I had this mindset where I believed that as long as I was earning money, things would eventually work out on their own. I didn't think about the future, about emergencies, or about building real financial stability. I had no safety net, and deep down, I knew I was treading on thin ice. But I ignored it, thinking that somehow I'd figure it all out later. What I didn't realize at the time was that later can sneak up on you faster than you think. It wasn't just a lack of money that was the problem. It was my lack of direction and discipline. I felt overwhelmed, lost, and truthfully scared that I was digging myself into a hole I might never get out of. Everything changed the day I heard a piece of advice that seemed almost too simple to matter. Someone I deeply respected, a mentor who had built incredible financial stability for themselves, sat me down and said, "Pay yourself first." At first, I didn't fully grasp what they meant. Pay myself? I thought I was already doing that with my salary. But then they explained it in a way that hit me like a lightning bolt. Every time you get paid, the first thing you do is set aside a portion for your future, before paying bills, before spending on anything else. That money isn't for today, it's for the life you want to build tomorrow. It's not about leftovers, it's about making your future a priority from the start. They emphasized that this isn't just about saving, it's about treating yourself like the most important bill you'll ever pay. They told me to think of it as an investment in my freedom, my security, and my dreams. The percentage didn't matter as much as the habit itself. Start small if you have to, 5%, 10%, but make it automatic and non negotiable. Once it's gone into your savings or investments, pretend it doesn't exist. You'll learn to live on what's left, and over time, that small, consistent habit will transform your financial reality. At first, the concept felt daunting. How could I save money when I was barely making ends meet? But my mentor assured me that it wasn't about perfection, it was about consistency. They told me, if you wait until you feel ready to save, you'll never start. But if you start now, even in the smallest way, you'll see the results sooner than you think. That advice became the spark that ignited my entire financial transformation. At that moment, I made a decision to stop making excuses and start taking action. I began by setting aside just 10% of my paycheck into a separate savings account, an amount small enough that it wouldn't disrupt my ability to pay bills or manage basic expenses. To make it foolproof, I automated the process so the money would be transferred the moment I got paid. I treated it like it wasn't even mine to spend. At first, it was challenging. I'd catch myself thinking about how that 10% could have covered something I wanted: a dinner out, a new pair of shoes, or even just extra breathing room in my budget. But I resisted the urge and stayed disciplined. Over time, something remarkable began to happen. I started to adapt to living on 90% of my income without feeling deprived. In fact, I felt more in control of my finances than ever before. I began to see my savings grow, slowly at first, but steadily. It wasn't just about the money, it was about the mindset shift. For the first time, I felt like I was prioritizing my future self instead of sacrificing it for short term pleasures. As I gained confidence, I started looking for ways to increase the amount I was saving. I reviewed my spending habits and found areas where I could cut back without sacrificing too much. I canceled subscriptions I wasn't using, started cooking at home more often, and learned to appreciate the value of delayed gratification. Every small adjustment added up, and before I knew it, saving became second nature. That 10% grew to 15%, then 20%, and eventually, I began setting money aside for investments as well. The more I saved, the more empowered I felt. I wasn't just surviving anymore, I was building a foundation for something greater. The results of this simple shift were more impactful than I ever imagined. For the first time in my life, I felt a sense of financial security. I no longer panicked when an unexpected expense came up, like a car repair or a medical bill, because I had a cushion to fall back on. Instead of feeling like money was controlling me, I finally felt like I was in control of my money. That small savings account I started began to grow, and with it, so did my confidence and peace of mind. But it wasn't just about having more money in the bank, it was about the opportunities that started to open up. With my finances in order, I could finally think beyond survival. I started setting goals that once felt impossible, taking a course to advance my career, investing in opportunities that aligned with my long term vision, and even planning for experiences I used to consider luxuries, like travel. Saving wasn't just about having money for emergencies, it became a tool for creating the life I wanted. What surprised me most was how much this one habit influenced other areas of my life. I became more intentional, not just with money, but with my time, energy, and decisions. I stopped chasing instant gratification and started focusing on the bigger picture. I realized that every dollar I saved wasn't just money, it was freedom. Freedom from stress, from fear, and from the limits I had unknowingly placed on myself for so long. And it all started with one simple choice: to pay myself first. Looking back, the biggest lesson I learned from this experience is that wealth isn't just about how much you earn, it's about how much you keep and what you do with it. The habit of paying myself first taught me the power of discipline and the importance of prioritizing my future over fleeting desires. It's not about being perfect or never spending money on the things you enjoy. It's about finding balance and making intentional choices. Every dollar I saved became a brick in the foundation of my financial freedom. I also learned that small, consistent actions can lead to extraordinary results. At first, it felt like saving a small percentage of my income wouldn't make much of a difference. But as the months turned into years, the compounding effect became undeniable. It wasn't just the money that grew, it was my confidence, my peace of mind, and my ability to dream bigger than I ever had before. This lesson reshaped my relationship with money entirely. I stopped seeing it as something that came and went and started viewing it as a tool to create stability, opportunity, and freedom. More importantly, I realized that financial success isn't reserved for the lucky or the wealthy. It's within reach for anyone willing to take small, deliberate steps toward it. The power of paying yourself first isn't in the amount you save, but in the mindset it creates, a mindset of ownership, control, and abundance. As I continued this journey, I began to notice a ripple effect that extended far beyond my bank account. Paying myself first wasn't just about building wealth, it was about building a better version of myself. I became more confident in making financial decisions, more disciplined in how I approached challenges, and more aware of the long term impact of my choices. This single habit became the cornerstone of everything else I achieved financially. Over time, I started exploring ways to grow the money I was saving. I learned about investing, diversifying my income streams, and putting my money to work for me instead of letting it sit idle. What once seemed intimidating Words like stocks, compounding interest, and passive income began to make sense because I was taking action one step at a time. I realized that every dollar I saved had the potential to generate more wealth if I used it wisely. Perhaps the most unexpected change was the sense of freedom and peace that came with this transformation. I no longer felt trapped in the cycle of earning and spending. I didn't lose sleep over financial emergencies or unexpected expenses because I had a plan and a safety net. Instead of living in a constant state of stress, I could focus on creating and enjoying the life I had always dreamed of. That's when I truly understood. Paying yourself first isn't just a financial strategy, it's a lifestyle that leads to empowerment, growth, and endless possibilities. Looking back, I can confidently say that the advice to pay yourself first was the best financial lesson I ever received. It wasn't just about saving money, it was about changing my mindset, taking control of my future, and building a life of freedom and abundance. This one habit laid the foundation for every other financial success I've achieved, and it's a lesson I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. No matter where you are on your financial journey, it's never too late to start. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment or a big windfall. Start small, stay consistent, and trust the process. Every little step you take toward prioritizing your future will add up in ways you can't imagine. So, what's stopping you? Right now, you have the power to make a decision that could change everything. Treat your future self like the most important investment you'll ever make, and watch how your life transforms. Remember, financial freedom isn't just about having money, it's about having choices, opportunities, and peace of mind. And it all begins with a simple yet powerful decision to pay yourself first.